2 weeks or 3 weeks sometimes, yeah.
Ils peuvent être à la maison 2 ou 3 semaines parfois.
Oui,
Yes.
3 semaines.
3 weeks.
And to get your birds in condition, Germain, to get the weight right, I do believe you might give them 4 quick races, 4 weeks, 4 races. Yes?
Yeah. Maar ce qu'on peut faire aussi, c'est quand entre les 3 concours qui sont au repos, le week-end pas donné à manger. C'est très bon aussi pour des pigeons qui restent 3 semaines au colombier. Le week-end pas à manger.
For pigeons staying in the loft, what is good to do is not to feed them before the racing.
Before the racing?
Yes. Not to feed them during the weekend.
Yes,
Yes.
To keep the weight right.
Mhm.
Sometimes Germain will miss feeding them for 1 day.
Parfois tu les... Excuse me, I didn't get you.
Germain will not feed the pigeons for 1 day sometimes during the winter.
Parfois il t'arrive parfois de ne pas les nourrir pendant un jour.
Ah, pendant l'hiver, quelquefois 3 jours.
In the winter, during the winter, sometimes during 3 days.
3 days?
3 days.
Nothing to eat?
Non.
Yeah, nothing
No.
to eat for 3 days?
Rien à manger pendant 3 jours.
Non, rien à manger. Du grit.
Nothing to
Du grit
eat.
à volonté, des petits pieds.
Small stones.
Oh, the grit?
Yes,
Yeah.
grit.
Plenty of grit?
Ja.
And plenty of water, Germain?
Ja, water.
Yeah.
Ja.
Plenty of,
Yeah.
He does that maybe just once in the winter? Once?
Une seule fois pendant
Non,
l'hiver.
3-4 fois.
3 or 4 times
3 or 4
during the
times
during winter.
During the 3 months before racing, in January, after the molt.
Ja, januari, februari, maart, april.
March, 3 times.
Yeah.
He may leave them for 2 or 3 days without corn, but with plenty of water and grit.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that keeps the weight right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because Germain cannot train his pigeons because he's too near the French border. Yeah?
Ah,
Tu
tu
dois-
sais pas entraîner tes pigeons parce que tu es trop près de la frontière
Mais
française.
je sais faire 50 km à peu près.
He can do with
30
50
miles.
kilometers.
50 kilometres.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he keeps the weight right by reducing the feed for 3 days, nothing. That's
Oh,
good. I knew this from before. And then at the end of the racing season, Germain, do your widow cocks, do they rear young birds at the end of the year? When the racing is finished?
Et
Quand,
finish.
quand les courses, quand les
Les concours sont finis, ils élèvent tous 2 jeunes.
when the racing are over,
Yeah,
2 jongen.
2 young birds.
Ja.
And
they
then
breed too young.
they rear 2 youngsters, Raphael. And then after the 2 youngsters, the hen lays eggs again.
De hen blijft tot december.
The hen remain till December.
Remain with
Yeah.
December
Yeah,
with the pigeons.
December.
Yes?
Ja,
And then all the molt is completed.
compleet, ja.
And they fly out together while
Alle
December,
dagen vliegen.
all the time
Every
flying
day.
if they
Yes,
want. Yes.
every day.
And then in December, the hen goes away for the 3 months when the pigeons are wintered.
Oui, j'ai enlevé tous les femelles la semaine passée.
He took away all the females last week.
Last week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're more or less early December, mid-December now. That's good. That is very different, Germain, from other people's methods.
C'est
Yeah.
très différent des méthodes des autres personnes.
Oui.
Now then, how do you select your yearling cocks, from your good young birds?
Comment,
From your young birds, how does Germain decide which to keep for yearlings?
lesquels décides-tu de sélectionner parmi tes yearlings? Comment tu les sélectionnes?
À la main. À la main.
It
et au
takes
panier.
it in the hand
In the hand
and in
and
the
with-
basket. That's
and
all.
with the performances.
Mhm.
Oui.
Avec les performances aussi.
Oui, moi, pas beaucoup les performances. Avant 2 ans, je regarde jamais une performance.
Before 2 years, it doesn't care about the performance.
Up to 2-year-old,
Mhm.
up to 2-year-old, he doesn't worry about the performance of the pigeons. So obviously, some not so good young birds can make quite good pigeons later on.
Donc des pigeons qui sont pas si bons avant 2 ans peuvent très bien faire de très bons pigeons.
Ah
après
oui,
2 ans.
oui. C'est une race que je connais. Et les pigeons, j'attends toujours 2 ans avant de décider si c'est pour liquider ou quoi.
That's a race he knows very well, so
He knows his family very
yes,
well.
Yeah.
He knows
Yes.
his family, so he's still waiting after 2 years.
That's right. He knows that some birds are slow to come along, but they will come along eventually and make good pigeons. But that's with experience and knowing the origin and knowing the family.
Yeah.
Parce que tu connais tu as de l'expérience.
Now, how can you recognise form in the pigeons? Good form in the racing season, Germain.
Comment est-ce que tu peux reconnaître un pigeon qui est en bonne forme?
C'est très difficile à reconnaître.
It's very difficult to see.
Very difficult to
Il
see.
faut avoir le temps pour observer ça. Moi, j'ai pas le temps.
He hasn't got the time
To watch the birds,
yes,
to
to
watch.
watch the birds.
So, do you go more on the week before's performance? You know, the performance of the bird's coming into form because he's getting good prizes. It goes more on the performance of the pigeons. You see what I
Est-ce que
mean?
tu as de bonnes performances dans les pigeons? Could you repeat, please?
Yeah. If the performance of the pigeons the week before in previous races, that tells him really the birds are coming into form because they're getting good prizes, you know.
Est-ce que les performances que les pigeons ont eues auparavant sont significatives?
Oui, sont significatives. Oui.
Yes.
That's a good
That
guy.
is a good thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, a good thing, because
Yeah.
Germain, with being a working farmer, he hasn't got the same amount of time as most people to watch each pigeon individually through the week. No time because of the farm.
Parce que tu es agriculteur, tu n'as pas le temps toujours de t'occuper
No,
des pigeons.
no.
Now, Germain, the hens to the widows, you know, the hens are it's very important to keep the hens in good condition, you think?
Très important de garder les
Les femelles,
femelles en bonne condition, à ton avis?
oui, mais le pigeon revient beaucoup pour son colombier. Il ne revient pas toujours pour sa femelle. Dans le grand fond, le pigeon revient pour son colombier.
But in most of the case, the pigeon comes back for the loft and not for the hen.
Yeah.
De grote
Yes.
fond. Hè.
Yeah?
Ja,
For the
You
long
think?
distance.
Yeah.
Yes.
You think he's racing more to the loft in his home than the hen?
Ja,
You think?
op de lange distance.
At the longer distance?
Yes.
Ja,
At
de
long
pigeon
distance.
komt voor de lof, maar niet voor...
And not so much for the hen?
no,
Yeah, that's a unique answer, I think. Yes?
Mhm.
Germain, is it possible for you to convey maybe a little secret to the British fanciers that will benefit them in their future racing?
Est-ce que tu pourrais éventuellement dévoiler un de tes secrets aux colombophiles britanniques?
Goede pigeons,
Yeah?
goede ook.
A good loft?
Ja.
Good loft.
Yes?
En goede liefhebber.
And good breeders.
And good breeders.
Ja.
And you think maybe to keep things simple too?
Est-ce que
En
tu
le
il
plus
faut
simple
garder le
possible.
plus simple possible?
As
Yes,
simple as possible.
to
Ne
get
pas être
things-
l'esclave de ce pigeon.
Don't be the slave of your pigeons.
Don't be the slave of your pigeons.
Yeah.
In other words, don't allow your pigeons, as Germain once said, hospital conditions. He likes the pigeons to be hardy and strong. Yeah.
Il faut pas donner des conditions, faut pas mettre tes pigeons en condition.
No.
No. Can we just talk quickly about young birds, Germain? We've nearly finished now. I know the light's starting to fade and you've got to feed your cattle. Young bird
On
racing.
va parler un peu de tes jeunes pigeons maintenant.
How do you feed your youngsters, Germain?
Comment tu les nourris, tes jeunes pigeons?
Toujours un mélange élevage.
Always
Toujours.
a breeding mixture.
A breeding mixture?
Mhm.
And you feed them twice a day?
Tu les nourris 2 fois par jour.
2 fois par jour, oui,
Twice
parce
a day.
qu'un jeune pigeon doit manger beaucoup et doit manger du bon pour bien se développer.
Because a young pigeon needs to eat much.
It needs to grow
Yes.
and get good
Yeah,
feathers
to grow.
and mature. Yes.
That's it.
And sometimes you don't race your young pigeons, Germain.
Parfois tu ne fais
Parfois,
pas de course avec.
Oui, je fais des courses, mais pas toujours. J'ai pas toujours le temps de m'occuper de mes...
Sometimes, but it's still a question of time.
Yes, that's right. If you've got,
Yeah.
it's harvest time, and if he's got time, he races them. If he hasn't got time, he leaves them all the year after. I know that's the case. Things are kept very, very simple at Bonneval. Yes, it's a good thing. And with you train your young birds, or
Ja, training. Ja,
You train
je
them.
train. Ja.
Yes.
Maar de pigeons moeten ils doivent toujours tous faire un résultat à partir de 2 ans. Avant 2 ans, je ne tiens pas compte des résultats, mais à partir de 2 ans, ils doivent aller à fond.
That's what he said. Up to 2 years, he cannot say if it is a good pigeon or not. But after two years,
He knows.
can say he knows
That's right.
if the pigeon is good
It's
or
good
not.
or not.
Yeah.
That's
C'est
right.
ça que cette année-ci, j'avais une vingtaine de pigeons de 2 ans qui n'avaient pas fait encore de résultats. Et je les ai tous mis à Barcelone et à Narbonne et ils ont fait des performances formidables.
And he had 20 young pigeons who were
And 2
less
years.
than 2 years
Yes.
and had bad performance. But after he put those 20 young pigeons at Barcelona and Narbonne.
This year?
Yes, this
Very
year.
good
and
performances.
very good performances.
Yes, I know that. Yes, so they were really very late developing those pigeons, but they came good at the end. And I think Germain thinks that next year could be a very, very good season for him. I think.
Yeah.
Ça va être une très bonne saison l'année prochaine. pour
Oui,
ça.
oui.
A lot of good young pigeons coming
Beaucoup de
through.
bons jeunes pigeons.
Oui.
Now, how often do you let your young birds out in the season? Just once a day?
Combien de temps tu les lâches
Euh,
par jour?
2 fois.
Twice a day.
Twice a day.
Ja,
So your widows go out twice a day.
Ja.
Yes, that's 7 in the morning while 8.
Ja, 7 tot 8 uur.
And in the afternoon?
Et
Van
dans
4 tot
l'après-midi,
6.
from
4 to 6.
4 tot
to
6,
six.
ja.
And sometimes they don't want to come back in.
Ja, ja, ja.
Sometimes.
parfois ils ne veulent pas rentrer.
Oui, c'est ça que je dois toujours laisser jusqu'à 6 heures avant que le dernier soit rentré.
That's why he has to let his loft open till 6 o'clock.
That's right, so they come back
Mais
in when they're ready.
ils ont 1 heure de volée forcée. De 7 à 8 et de 4 à 5, ils doivent voler.
But à quelle heure tu dis?
De 7 à 8 au matin.
From 7 to 8 in the morning, they must fly.
He makes them fly.
Yes,
Yeah.
he makes them
You
fly.
make them fly?
Ja, ja.
Yes.
En au soir, la même chose.
And the same for in the evening.
And the same, you make them
Oui.
fly in the evening?
Après 8 jours qu'ils sont au veuf, ils ne descendent plus jamais. Ils sont habitués à ces heures-là et ils sont toujours égales.
After 8 days, they know.
On the widow, they fly
Yes,
without
yes.
being made to fly.
Mhm.
I understand that. And the young birds go out from 8
9 uren.
8 to 9
Ja,
from 9.
ja.
in the morning.
En dès qu'ils rentrent, ils ne savent plus sortir.
As soon as they come
The
back
widowers
in,
come back in.
Oui.
Yes.
Et ceux qui rentrent trop tard, ils
They
n'ont
stay
plus à
in the
manger.
loft.
Yes.
Et ils rentrent plus vite au soir alors.
And those who doesn't want to come back at
Yeah.
once hasn't got anything to eat.
They don't get it, so they come back quicker the day after.
Yes.
Au matin, in de morgen,
Yeah.
de eerste binnen,
The
In
first, the
Yeah.
first
le
pigeon.
premier rentré au matin sont le dernier rentré au soir.
The
Toujours.
first come back in the morning, come back late in the evening.
Yes, because
Yes.
they've had something to a lot to eat in the
Yes.
morning. That's
Yeah.
if you notice us. Now, just a few words on your producing pigeons. What quality do you look for in a good producer, Germain?
Quelle qualité requiers-tu pour un bon producteur?
Très bon aile. Très bon aile, il a un très bon équilibre et un très belle plume.
A good balance, a good plume, and un bon équilibre, une bonne balance,
Oui,
une bonne plume,
Une bonne plume.
a good wind.
And a good wing.
ja,
Yes,
oui,
yes.
good wind.
And what about performance, you think?
Et à propos des résultats,
Is it important?
Non, l'origine.
Origin is more important. I think so too.
Ja, ja.
Personally, I think the origin is more important than the performance.
Ja.
Because you can get very good pigeons from brothers and sisters to the champion pigeons. You know, they've got good origin, but they've not been raised, some of them, if you see what I mean.
pour lui, parfois l'origine est meilleure
Que le pigeon.
que le pigeon.
Oui, oui, oui.
Yeah.
oui. Good
The origin
origin.
is better than the pigeons.
The origin is better than the performance. I think I have noticed something with Germain's pigeons, that many times the nest pigeon to a champion cock has always been a good producer. The nest mate to St Vincent,
Yeah,
magnific producer.
yeah, yeah.
The nest mate to Montague,
Ja, maar.
a terrific producer.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Ja,
The
ja.
nest mate to the Espoir,
Ja, de espoir.
a good producer.
Yeah.
So the nest mates seem as though they produce, and the races, the champions race,
Yeah.
maybe.
J'ai maintenant des fils de Dufou, de l'Espoir, qui sont des reproducteurs extraordinaires.
He's got wonderful breeders from Son of the Espoir and Son of the Fou.
Yes?
Mhm.
But also, I do believe that Germain thinks the Espoir is going to be as good as the old VRN.
Est-ce que l'Espoir va devenir meilleur que le VRN?
Vieux rouge, mais je pense que
You think so?
en deuxième génération, ce qu'il a maintenant de tous côtés, c'est formidable. Une tweede génération, formidable.
Second generation's
Yeah.
even better.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we've talked about this all week in Belgium, that the second generation pigeons from the champions are far better than the first generation
Yeah,
for
yeah,
La
racing.
deuxième génération en
Yeah.
Belgique sont
Yeah.
souvent meilleures
Oui,
que
oui.
les premières
Very
générations.
important.
Yeah.
Now, what does Germain? How close does Germain pair his pigeons? The relatives, you know, how close in the family does he pair his pigeons?
Comment est-ce que tu
Drie-
accouples tes pigeons?
3 générations verschil. 3 générations
Three
différentes.
different generations.
3 generations out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, is that cousins?
Tweede cousins, hè? Oui, kleine cousins.
Second cousins.
Ja,
Second
ja.
cousins.
Ja, kleine cousins.
Second cousins. Sometimes cousins, maybe.
Ja, sometimes ja, ja.
Sometimes.
Mais de moeder en la mère et la père doivent faire de différentes sortes aussi pour accoupler ensemble. Il faut bien.
The mother and the father must be from a different origin.
That's right.
Yes.
Like the brothers and sisters.
Je
Mhm.
moet altijd de derde generatie zoeken. La troisième
third
génération, tous.
It must be the third
It
generation.
must be the third
Yeah.
generation,
Yeah.
or otherwise it's getting too close, you know.
Yeah.
Sinon, ça se rapproche
C'est trop près,
C'est
oui.
trop près. It's too close.
It's too close. What do you think about breeding off old cocks and old hens? I know you breed off old cocks, but what do you think about breeding from old pigeons, old hens and old cocks?
Qu'est-ce que tu penses d'élever des vieux mâles et de vieilles femelles?
En vieux mâle, c'est très beau, mais en vieille femelle, j'aime pas trop. C'est mieux des jeunes femelles. Le meilleur, c'est des femelles jusqu'à 3-4 ans.
The best is to breed young females
To old cocks.
and old cocks.
Yes.
And young females till 3 or 4 years old.
Breed from the females
Yes.
while they're 3 or 4?
Mhm.
Yes, no older?
Si, c'est good, and good, quick to finish.
Oui, mais les femelles, c'est jusque 3-4 ans, tu dis.
Ah non, plus vieux, mais les meilleures
plus vieux.
femelles, il faut avoir de bonnes femelles de 3-4 ans. Si c'est de toutes bonnes, ils restent. Si c'est pas des bonnes, ils ne restent pas.
The best females are good when they are 3 or 4 years old.
They're at the best.
Yes.
Quand il a une vieille femelle qui reste, c'est parce que c'est une bonne. Ou sinon, elle ne resterait pas.
When a good female remains, it's a good female.
Oh yes, when it's a Borneo and it's 7 or 8 years of age, it's a very good female, I know that, yes. Just quickly now, on to general health. You know, the general health of the pigeons.
Pour la santé générale des pigeons.
What, as Germain, what is a worry? What is one of the worries for Germain for general health? You know, one of the things that is there anything that troubles him?
Est-ce qu'il y a rien
Parameter
qui te dérange dans les pigeons ou bien
Non,
si
mais il faut
jamais t'as un
très...
problème de santé
Non, mais il
dans les
faut
pigeons?
toujours très prendre attention à toutes les maladies. Il faut savoir faire les cures à temps et vacciner à temps quand il faut vacciner. Il faut le faire comme pour la paramyxose. Hein, il faut absolument tenir ça très près de l'œil parce que c'est très très mauvais.
You must always keep an eye on every illness.
Paramyxose.
Yes.
Paramyxose
Oh,
and
and paratyphus.
illness.
Paratyphus.
Paratyphus.
Yes.
Paratyphus n'est pas très dangereux. Non,
paratyphus is not very dangerous.
It's not.
non.
Yeah.
Paramyxose is
Paramyxose is-
Oh, catastrophic. Yes.
catastrophic.
Catastrophic is same in English as it is in Flemish. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is very bad. You've got to be very, very careful with that. Do you use any products for your health of the pigeons?
Est-ce que tu utilises certains produits pour la santé de tes pigeons?
Ben, il faut employer des produits pour les coccidioses, trichomonias. Ah oui. Coccidiose,
Sometimes some products for coccidiose.
Coccidiose, trichomonias, il faut
And
traiter
trichomonias.
régulièrement.
You have to cure the pigeons.
Trichomonas.
Yes, yeah.
You've got to prevent
To
trichomonas.
prevent, yes.
And how often do you use an antibiotic? You use Emtril?
Tu utilises souvent ces
Non, jamais Emtril, jamais.
Jamais.
Rizol?
Non, Rizol en SB3. Yeah,
Yes.
SB3 Rizol.
But Rizol we can get in England, also
Yeah,
Emtril,
yeah.
but you prefer Rizol?
Ah, ja,
Prefer
beter dan de Emtril.
Better than Emtril,
Better,
yeah.
yeah.
Not so strong, you mean?
Ja,
C'est pas si fort comme d'habitude.
Pas si fort en dus goed.
It's not so strong and it is good.
It is, that's I think the same too, but do you treat, what, 2-3 times a year for...
Est-ce que tu l'utilises 2 ou 3 fois par an?
Oui, 3-4 fois au moins.
4 times a year.
4 times a year
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Rizol?
Yeah.
That's the minimum.
That's the minimum. And sometimes if they're away a long time in the baskets, you mean, I think you'll give them a couple of days then maybe.
Yeah,
If the
yeah.
races are away for a long time, you know,
Yeah.
in the baskets, you may give them 2 days.
Ja, dans les voyageurs, tous les 3 semaines au moins.
And for the racing pigeons, every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks, what, for 1 or 2 days?
2 days.
2 days.
2 days, yeah.
What days you mean?
Quel jour?
Lundi et mardi.
Monday and Thursday. Monday and Tuesday.
Monday and
sorry.
Tuesday, that's
Yeah.
right, two consecutive days. Just 2 more questions
Yeah,
and then we
yeah.
finish.
Encore 2 questions,
Um,
on a fini.
Do you use vitamins in the waters, you mean?
Est-ce que tu utilises des vitamines dans l'eau?
Non, je suis contre les vitamines, mais j'aime bien la levure de bière, comme le jus de citron et tout ça, mais des vitamines, j'aime pas. J'aime pas la vitamine, mais de la levure de bière, j'aime bien avec de l'huile de foie morue. Hein.
He doesn't like the vitamin, but he prefers la levure de bière.
Beer yeast.
Beer yeast,
Yes,
beer yeast,
yes,
ja,
yes.
ja, beer yeast en levertran.
And beer yeast and
And oil.
Oil.
cod liver oil.
Yes,
Ja,
maybe.
dat is goed.
Cod liver oil,
Ja,
yes.
dat is goed. Ja.
You put cod liver oil on the mixture
Ja,
Dans la-
ja.
dans
and
la
then
mélange.
beer
Beer
yeast
yeast, dat is goed.
onto the corn.
Ja, ja.
Yes.
How often, Germain?
Alle week, les voyageurs toutes les semaines.
Every week.
Un jour,
For the
un jour et
racing
demi,
birds.
2 jours.
All the time, or one day or 2 days?
Combien de fois?
Euh,
Combien de fois? Une
euh,
fois par semaine.
Oui, oui, une fois par semaine, tous les mercredis et mardi et mercredi à peu près.
Every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Every Tuesday and Wednesday. So they get beer yeast is a very good natural product.
Natural
It
product.
is, yes.
And voor de bier,
So Germain generally, if he has a pigeon that is sick, he normally disposes of the pigeon, I think.
So, c'est comme si jamais tu as un pigeon malade, tu le soignes alors.
Ah oui, 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 oui. Si c'est vraiment que c'est un tout bon pigeon qui est malade, hein, je vais au vétérinaire, mais ça m'arrive une fois tous les 3-4 ans. Ça m'arrive presque rarement.
If one of his good pigeon is sick, he go and see
To the veterinarian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.